Mayor Zielinski.
Here.
Councilmember Sullivan. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney.
Here.
And Police Chief.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion to amend the agenda. If council desires to discuss potential candidates for the position of city manager that have not already been interviewed or who have requested confidentiality, a closed session and amendments to the agenda is required. If council does not desire at this time to discuss potential candidates for the position of city manager who were not previously interviewed, no amendment of the agenda is required. Before we get into the actual motion, is there any feeling about this? Are we going to be discussing other potential candidates?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. At this time, council can take action to amend the agenda to add item 4D and E, allowing action by council on these additional items. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Have a motion and support. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton.
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Citizens' comments on gender-related items. Are there any citizens here tonight who would like to comment on agenda-related items? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Consideration of determining the next step to take in the city manager search procedure. At the June 15, 2021 regular meeting, the city council took action to direct the city manager to schedule additional interviews of candidates as may be requested by council and/or direct future solicitation for potential candidates through the Michigan Municipal League or otherwise. At this time, council could take action. So how do we want to move forward?
I would like to have a little bit of discussion about it.
Oh, we could have some discussion. Let's start with Mr. Bachman. How do you want to move forward with the process?
I'd like to look at the people who have applied and we haven't interviewed yet, and do some interviews there. Part of me wants to run the ad and leave it open until filled, but it's kind of a disservice to the people who applied if we do an interview and fill it. I mean, it's kind of backwards, so maybe we should interview the people who applied. If we don't find a candidate, just open it until it's filled. I don't know what other course of action we have, that's just my thoughts.
Ms. B.
Well, I agree I believe we should just open it and take a look at the ones that have already applied and see if there's anybody that we want to look at again. But I also think we need to change the process a little bit. I'm thinking that I would like to see a little bit more transparency in how it's progressing. Thad Taylor is retiring July 2nd. I felt like I was not really part of the process because I didn't see the first email that went out to the candidate that we had selected. And I wish we had gotten a chance to see it first because I have 5 good reasons why I would say that. And one is Aaron Pontiac, one is James Grabowski, the other is Mick Szymanski, and Roger Zielinski and I were both part of city council when we talked about defined benefit versus defined contribution. And on March 5th, 2019, we did pass a motion, I'm not going to look it up right now, and we discussed it again, that it applied to non-union, new hires, non-union employees. So I think at least 1 to 5 of us might have caught that before it went out. So I just want to see a little bit more back and forth with how the process works. So I know it was a mistake, but still it did cause obviously some angst. So those are my comments.
So,
I would like to open up the interviews again. I would also like to re-interview one of the candidates that we already interviewed. And then, figure out if we're gonna do it 2 nights, could do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and then pick somebody on Thursday, not right after we interview the last person. I don't think that went very well last time, and I don't know, are we allowed to go, I can't see you, are we allowed to go into like a closed session and discuss the interviews or no?
No.
Okay.
Martin Bunyan.
Yeah, I would like to interview the ones that we didn't interview before, and then also agree to interview one of the candidates again. And then, discuss it. I was gonna ask about the closed session too, but I guess that's a no too.
Mr. Kowalski.
I'd like to interview all the other subjects.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I agree, interview the other candidates, and then if we can't come to an agreement at that time, then open it up for additional candidates.
So I think I'm hearing consensus that we want to go into interview not additional, but candidates that have already applied, that we have an interview. And Jermaine, you mentioned one you would want to
Yes.
re-interview, and we can bring that up during a closed session. Is that
No.
right?
No, that one you want to talk in open session, because that person's already been revealed, made public. The closed session is to discuss people that have made application who have requested confidentiality. So if we've got somebody that you've already interviewed,
We can discuss it.
yeah.
So
You
we're
can
discussing a
You can
process.
discuss that now, or even after the closed session when you're making your decision. You can discuss that as well.
I think right now we're talking about procedure, how we're going to move forward, so we'll probably do that.
Now?
Not now,
Oh,
but,
okay.
okay, after. Okay. Lost my track. At this time, council can take action. So what kind of action do we need to take?
I would say that you've got the information you needed from council, I think you just go into closed session to start the process of considering those that have applied and have not been interviewed and are requesting confidentiality.
Okay. Before we go into closed session, should we go to concerns and comments and go through that first? Okay. Concerns and comments, citizens' comments, it's an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comments limited to 5 minutes. The council shall not be publicly read. Is there any citizens who'd like to make any comments? Seeing none, we go to officials and staff. Mr. Taylor?
I have nothing.
Mr. Saylor?
Nothing.
Chief?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
I don't see anybody else except Laura. Do you have anything?
I do not, thank you, Your Honor.
Let's go to council members.
Yeah, I just had a question for the chief. I've heard that there's been a lot of break-ins in my district. Do you have any updates on that?
I don't have any updates at this time, it's under investigation, car B&Es. What we're gonna put on social media is just public awareness, make sure you lock your vehicles, things like that to deter theft. As far as a criminal case, we don't have any updates at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kowalski?
Chief, on your letter on the blight committee, are you suggesting to eliminate the committee, or are you just trying to change it around, or what's going on?
Which letter is that?
Well, I got the one that says, that the police are pretty much aware of all their blight, and you talk about the ad hoc blight committee being dissolved shortly, as the objectives of the committee have been met.
Right, and the blight ad hoc committee has come with some recommendations to council, and one of the recommendations is to have a standing blight committee.
Okay.
So at some point in time, there's going to be a presentation to council with those recommendations, and that was the goal of the ad hoc committee, to come up with recommendations on blight. So at some point, it's going to come formally in front of council.
Okay, great.
Mr. Hoffman?
Next.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. I have nothing. Council received information from Mrs. Municipal League. I think I'm on this one. Wait a minute. Yes. Sorry. position that were not interviewed and whose requested for confidentiality must still be maintained. The council desires to discuss potential candidates who have requested confidentiality. It should proceed into closed session as approved by Section 8, parentheses F of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. At this time, council will take action to proceed into a closed session under Section 8, F of the Michigan Open Meetings Act to review and consider the content of the applications of employment as city manager where the applicants have requested confidentiality.
You need a motion?
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachman,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski.
Yes, so we're in
Motion
closed
passed.
session. We need to. We have two candidates that we wish to interview, and we have one who we're going to re-interview, and who was that, Ms. Beaton?
The re-interview, would your name, you had a name
We
up there?
have one, okay.
Mr. Campbell,
20.
20.
William Gamble,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Okay, he's got an excellent resume, and I think he was just having an off night, and I think Dave probably caught him off guard and wasn't expecting that.
I like the guy a lot.
I'd like to
I like him a
re-interview
lot. He just didn't have the right answer for the hard questions, but
Let's bring him back.
maybe he rethought.
Okay, so here we go. At this time, council can take action to direct the MML facilitator to contact applicants number 17 and 14 and set up an interview. Are we going to discuss Mr. Gamble tonight? Yeah, good. You want to do that tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll also be discussing Mr. Gamble tonight to determine their interest in interviewing for the position of city manager. Is that somewhat clear?
Well, I guess I wasn't clear on what you were talking about with Mr. Gable, talking about it tonight, or are you
I
saying
want to
that you'd like to
re-interview.
interview the other
Yes.
day?
We'd like to re-interview.
Okay, that's,
So we're going to have applicants number 17 and 14 to re-interview William Gamble.
Have we agreed on the William Gamble yet?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I do too.
Yeah, you too.
I agree.
Okay. To determine their interest in interviewing for the position of city manager. So, is there a motion?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachman,
Yep.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. We're down to what everybody likes to see, adjournment. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody disagree with adjournment? Hearing none, we're adjourned.